Well, for the past 3 weeks, we've been sharing tips on home buying for anyone buying or looking to buy their first home. I know I'm going to hopefully be doing that soon. So far, we've touched on mortgage pre-approval and house hunting. And this morning, we are welcoming back to the show Clinton Wilkins, Senior Mortgage Advisor with First Home Lenders, to discuss next steps after deciding on a home to purchase. Because Clinton, as you know, and welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Last week I went out with James Dwyer. We looked at a couple homes. I have not settled on one yet, but it was really interesting to get his perspective. But now I'm in a place where I'm kind of thinking about what do I do after I do decide to buy a home. I've got to go back to you now.
That's right.
And talk about the mortgage process.
So you've been in to get your pre-approval and you've looked at a couple homes and you've made some offers. And let's just say you have an accepted offer. At that point, you would connect me with your realtor or your licensed real estate professional, and we would touch base and talk about what type of rate product you want, confirm down payment, confirm amortization, and then we would submit the file for a firm approval. At that point, the bank could offer you a commitment in terms of financing based on a certain number of conditions. And once we had that approval, we would then reach out and let you know what we need from you in terms of documentation. And we would either book a meeting for you or prepare the documents to maybe send them out electronically for signing, which is obviously becoming much more popular right now.
And let's veer away from this for just a second. I do want to touch on coronavirus. I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Electronic, the ways that we can use the internet to help us out, we need to use those methods these days for sure. How has this COVID-19 pandemic affected you as a mortgage broker?
Well, homeownership is one of the biggest purchases of people's lives, and mortgage debt is one of the biggest debts. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, really due to people's employment. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, normally for people who are in a salaried type job, their salary is going to continue, but that's not everyone's situation. A lot of people are hourly, which they might be laid off, or maybe they're self-employed and they're really dependent on the market still moving in terms of bringing money in to be able to pay their bills like their mortgage. So the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation actually put out a press release yesterday. We posted it on our Facebook group, so you can certainly check that out. And you know, they're going to help homeowners in terms of working with their lenders for capitalizing mortgage payments, maybe deferring mortgage payments. They're working on a bunch of programs that are really going to help homeowners, you know, weather that storm. We don't know what's going to happen in the coming days, but I can tell you, you know, there's a huge advantage with unbiased mortgage professionals because we're able to work from home if need be. Where we don't know what's going to happen with bank branches. The branches could close, or maybe there could be staffing issues. For us, we're able to work remotely, but we're also able to offer, you know, appointments over telephone, or maybe over Skype or GoToMeeting. And we're also able to get some of the documents signed remotely via e-signatures or accept documents over fax or by scans in terms of a PDF. And that really differs us from the bank branches. Normally, those documents need to be signed in branch. Without any exceptions.
All right.
And it's not that, you know, our lenders are under a different, you know, set of rules than the Big Five, because guess what? We use the Big Five every day. It's just a different process. And where we're working remotely a lot of the time anyway, we're able to really keep things rolling. People are still going to buy homes.
Right.
People's mortgages are still going to come up for renewal. They're still going to need to refinance. And, you know, we're going to be here for homeowners, and we're going to ensure that the process is going to be as smooth as possible going forward.
So what you're saying is don't cancel my house hunt.
No.
Okay, so let's go back to, of course, mortgage approval. We talked about, you know, I've got the document signed, everything's ready to go. How do you get paid?
So we get paid by the lender.
Okay.
Majority of the time. When you're buying a home, the lenders are going to pay us. Mortgage brokers are one of the only things in life that's free. The only time that we would potentially get paid by the borrower is if it was like commercial lending or an extraordinary situation where we're talking about a private loan or, you know, alternative lending. At that point, we may get paid by the borrower, but 99% of the time, we're paid by the lender. And, you know, every consumer should be reaching out to a mortgage professional. We have access to a variety of different lenders. We have access to almost 40 different lenders. So we're really able to work through everybody's scenario individually in terms of their income, their assets, and their credit, and figure out what the best solution is.
Lots of options there for sure. How long after my loan is approved will I actually see the money come into my account?
Okay, this is a great question. I get asked this question all the time. So the way that it works is when you make an offer on a home, you set 2 dates. Really, you set a closing date, that's your possession date when you get the actual keys, and you set a financing deadline or a condition date. Financing is typically only one of the conditions that you have to fulfill. Typically, you have to fulfill a condition of insurance, inspection, And there could be other clauses that you're required to do prior to that condition date being firm, or when you are in a firm and binding agreement. The mortgage actually closes on the closing date, the date that you get your keys. So no money changes hands until that date.
Okay.
And our mortgage lenders actually will send the money to your lawyer, and all the funds are transferred with your lawyer. So you would bring in your down payment and your closing cost funds to the lawyer, and we would send the mortgage funds to the lawyer, and the lawyer would put it all together and then send a check over to your seller.
Okay, so it's through the lawyer. By the way, speaking of lawyers, we're going to do our final segment of First Time Homebuyers next week.
That's right.
We're going to talk with a lawyer because that is a huge part of home buying. I think one that first-time homebuyers sometimes forget about. You need to have a lawyer for your home. You need to talk about insuring your home, a little bit of a home inspection. We'll talk about that too. A lot to cover in our final segment next week. Thank you so much for the advice so far.